Welcome. Today we're going to be doing a restorative aerial yoga practice. So if you can see, I do have the fabric set pretty low, close towards the ground. I have it about a foot to a foot and a half off the ground. Now if you have daisy chains, this will make it easy to adjust the height of the fabric, so you don't have to go ahead and completely retie the fabric to set it so low. Also for this practice, you want to keep any props that you have handy. I do have a blanket, a block, and a bolster. So today in this practice, we're going to get started on the mat, lying down. So I want you to come to the center of the mat, lying on your back. You want your pelvis directly underneath the support of your fabric, directly underneath that center line. You're going to take both feet into the fabric so that the fabric is hooked right underneath the ankles. Now we're just doing a little bit of a supported lift here, starting off in Shavasana. So allowing your legs to go long, fully relaxing into legs. You can just allow those feet to draw inward, or if you want to open up your feet, you can flex the feet and turn them out to the side. Play around with this and find out what feels best on your lower back and feels best in your own body. Now you're going to roll the shoulders down away from the ears, so creating a little bit of space into the upper back. Take your arms out to the sides, palms facing up. Fully relax your shoulders down into the mat. Close your eyes and take a few moments here just to get settled in, allowing the body to relax. And just checking for any tension anywhere in the body. See if you can soften that area. And just start to listen to the natural inflows and outflows of your breathing. And work to direct the breath in and out through the nose, keeping the mouth closed. And just gently also work to lengthen every inhale and lengthen every exhale. Practice closing off the back of the throat on the exhale, working into Ujjayi breathing. So it should be a full deep inhale through the nose, filling up the belly, the rib cage, even inhaling into the upper back. And exhaling through your nose, closing off the back of the throat, slowly decompressing that air out. And keep moving like that with the breath. Working to make every breath a little bit deeper and more expansive as you fill up the lungs. Now, maintaining the softness in the body, keeping the connection with the breathing, we're going to incorporate a little bit of movement, just starting with some light movement. You're just going to start to rock your feet side to side. This is going to create a nice release and massage into the lower back. Now move as what feels good for you. Maybe you take a big swing, maybe a small swing. Just inviting that gentle movement. And then slowly make your way back through center, coming back into stillness. And gently bend your right knee in towards your right shoulder. Take an interlock grip just 2-3 inches below the knee, and then hug that right leg in, creating a little bit of compression here into the hip flexors on the right side. Keep the left leg locked out. You can point or flex the left foot, whatever feels good. And just create that little hug, drawing the right knee towards the right shoulder. You're pulling the elbows towards the hips, creating that compression into the front of the right hip. You do want to keep the shoulders down, the head down, so try to refrain from lifting the head quite yet. Just allow the head to stay relaxed. You can always put a support like a blanket, bolster, pillow underneath the head so that you have that proper support. Now you're going to flex your left foot, turn your left toes towards the left. This is going to make the fabric hook to the top of that left foot so it doesn't slide out of the fabric as we move to a twist. Use your left hand outside the right knee and stretch your right arm out to the side so the hand is in line with the shoulder. Lift the hips up just a little bit and pop your hips a little bit towards the right side of the mat. Now using your left hand, you're going to gently guide the knee across the body, moving into that twist. Use that gentle pressure on the outside of the knee to increase the stretch. Keep the back of the right shoulder grounded down towards the mat and just gently turn your head and look towards the right side of the room. If that right foot is close enough to connect down towards the ground, you can go ahead and drop that foot down and increase the stretch. Now we want to be reaching the right knee and the left foot in opposite directions. So the right knee is going to be moving towards the left, but push that left heel towards the right. Now find out where your body feels the best here. Now this is pretty early in the practice, so you might want to stay with the knee bent. But just know that if you feel like you need more, you can always work with that top leg straight, reach the left hand down, catch hold of the outer edge of the foot, and work to get that leg nice and straight. If that's too much, by all means, stay in that first option with the knee bend and just finding that twist. Use your breath while you're here. Every exhale, you're just working to release a little bit deeper. Every breath takes you a little bit deeper into the twist, getting a little bit more movement in the spine, a little bit more releasing into the lower back. Let's take a few more deep breaths, inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And then gently bring the head back through center first. You're going to wait for your inhale, contract your core, tensing up the belly a little bit. That will help support the lower back. And slowly start to bring your spine back through neutral. Plant your right foot outside towards the right side of the mat and just use that to adjust the pelvis back through center. Once again, pull the right leg into the body, but this time extend that right leg, move your hands behind the knee. So you're taking that interlock grip just behind that leg, and then you're working to stretch that right leg down. Depending on flexibility, your hands might be here. If you're a little more flexible, you can slide the hands down a little bit closer towards the calf, or maybe a little bit closer towards the ankle. So you're stretching and pulling that right leg closer towards the body, and just gently point and flex that right foot. You're doing this slow and just feeling how the movement in the ankle changes the sensation you're feeling in the body. And then just take a few rotations clockwise, making them slow and deep. reverse it, go counterclockwise. And then settle that right foot in a pointed position. Get as close towards the foot with the hands as possible. Take a deep inhale, contract the core. And with the exhale, start to lift the upper body up, reaching the forehead towards the shin as you pull down deep on that right leg. Let's hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gently release the head down. Once again, take the knee into a bent position. Now we're going to keep the left leg in the fabric. We're going to slowly come up to a seat. So we're going to plant the right foot down, plant the palms down. Now we're going to slowly work our way onto the forearms. We're just going to pause here halfway. Line up your elbows directly beneath your shoulders, spread your fingers wide. Wrap your shoulders back, drop your head back, and open up the front side of the body. Gently tuck your chin, come onto your palms. And you're just going to scoot your hips back a little bit. We're coming into Janu Shirshasana. Now, you might need a couple props to help support you while you're here, and you might have to adjust where you are on the mat depending on your level of flexibility. You're going to bend your right knee, pull your right heel in towards the groin, and keep the left leg straight out in front of you. Now, if you notice the position and the height of this left leg, if I want a deeper stretch, I can move a little bit more forward towards the top of the mat, and that has lifted and elevated the height. So I'll make this a little bit deeper of a stretch. If you'd like a little bit less, you can do the opposite. You move to the back of the mat. Now you can notice that it's gotten a little bit lower. So take a pause and a moment to find out the best position for your body. I'm going to go about halfway up on the mat. Okay, that will give me a good stretch. Now, if this right knee is really elevated, maybe the right hip is really tight, and you're having troubles releasing that right leg down, you can always grab a hold of any support and just put it underneath the knee so you're elevating that knee up. You just want to make sure that you can relax into the hip flexors on that right side. So feel free to prop that up if necessary. Now you're going to square your body over that left leg. Make sure you can get the left sit bone grounded down on the mat. You can play around with the position of the left foot. You can point the toes. You can flex the foot, but find a position that feels good for you. Keeping your body square over that leg, you're just going to start to bring the body down. First few breaths, let's do this with a straight spine. Then second few breaths, we'll work on rounding the spine. So if the palms will touch, you'll take the palms on either side of the leg and work on extending the chest forward. You're sucking the belly in, dropping the shoulders down, and you're really working on pulling the whole rib cage and chest towards the foot. Make sure there's no gripping anywhere in the body, so you're not tensing into the shoulders, you're not tensing into the neck. So find the most comfortable position as possible. Let's talk a little bit about this posture here. You'll obviously be feeling a good amount of stretch into the hamstrings and the posterior chain all along the back line of that left leg. Now keep in mind, you do want to maintain a little micro bend into that left knee, just so that you're not hyperextending or locking out the knee while you're here. Don't work too hard, especially if you're hypermobile, but just remember, you just want a slight little bend into that knee. Now this is up to you. You can stay here with that straight spine, or if you have the flexibility, you can start to round the spine, tucking the chin and reaching the forehead down towards the shin. If the forearms touch, you can go ahead and bring them down towards the mat. Once again, fully release. So soften the shoulders, release any gripping into the neck, and just allow your body to hang over that leg. Manage your breathing, inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your nose. Work to make those exhalations a little bit longer and a little bit deeper than the inhalations. And working with your inhalation, slowly rolling out of this one vertebrae at a time, taking your time and coming out. Let's go into Parivrtta Shirshasana. So I'm going to keep the left leg in the fabric, but I'm going to turn my body a little bit towards the right, making an adjustment here. So I'm allowing this right knee to open towards the back of the mat, once again pulling the heel in towards the groin. So before with Janu Shirshasana, I'm facing the leg. This time I'm going to keep the same side shoulder close towards that leg. So I'm squaring my body towards the camera. Now, once again, if you need extra support, you can use the support underneath the knee, elevate that. You can use the support inside the leg, use that as a brace as you come into the side stretch. Once again, keep whatever props that you might need around close to you, because every pose you want to try to make this as comfortable as possible. So work to keep the left heel in line with the left hip. You might have to scooch around a little bit to make sure that you have that line. Right heel is pulling in towards the groin, squaring my body towards the right side of the room. I can place the left arm inside the leg or on the leg, depending on what type of flexibility you want to get into. Now, working to peel my right shoulder blade back, reaching my right arm up and over. So my right arm is directly over the right ear. If you're really tight in the shoulders, you can keep that elbow a little bit bent with the shoulder pulled back, or you can reach that arm nice and long. Play around with whatever that top arm wants to do. If the fabric's close enough to grab, you can collect both poles together, pinch it in towards the right hand. Work that left shoulder nice and low, and then drop the head. Once again, you can keep the arm just reaching inside, outside the fabric. It can be on the hip. This is really up to you. Find out what feels good in your own body. You should be able to get a nice deep stretch, but without working too hard here. So allow the head to fall. Get deep with that left arm. Work to keep that stacked position of the right shoulder over the left shoulder the entire time. Make sure the right sit bone is down. You're pushing the right knee down in towards the ground. And we're going to direct our breath into the right side of the body, into the rib cage on that right side. So navigate the space in between the ribs, the intercostals, and you're going to direct your breath there. So with every inhale, expand the space between the ribs on the right side of the body. And every exhale, see if you can deepen your stretch a little bit further. Keep breathing like that. And think about why you're here. You're really working to create as much distance as possible between the right hand and the right sit bone. So that right sit bone is digging down in towards the ground. You're reaching as far away with that right arm as possible. You're going to contract your core, plant your left palm, use your top arm, and just slowly start to bring yourself back to a straight spine. Okay, we're going to keep turning, so now we're going to be turning towards the back of the mat. If you have a bolster, make sure the bolster is close so that you can use it if you need to. Take both hands to the back of the mat. You're going to scoot your right knee towards your right wrist, and your foot towards your left wrist. So we're setting up for pigeon pose. You're squaring off your hips. You're going to press back and down. Now this is where the bolster might come in handy. Placing the bolster out in front of you, out in front of your torso. You can rest your forearms, your palms, allow your body to fall over the bolster, whatever feels good. We're working to bring the ground up. Keep in mind you might not need the bolster while you're here. You can always just place everything down on the mat instead. Now this is active, so if you notice that back leg, I'm not just going to bend the knee. I want to work on pushing that back leg straight so the back knee comes away from the ground. You can move a little bit here, creating a little swing in that back leg. You can be still. Find out what feels good for you. Now keep in mind, if you're really tight in the hips or in the glutes, you might need even more height in the body. So you can always grab a hold of something like a block or a blanket, put that underneath the right side of the body and use that. Okay, so feel free to prop up wherever you need to. This is a great stretch into the glutes on that right side, into that right hip. You'll also feel the front of that left leg coming into a stretch. Make sure you're not putting any stress or tension anywhere in the body. You're not tensing the shoulders, not tensing into the neck, the belly. Just allow everything to release. If you're really struggling to relax into any postures like this, come to your breath. Listen to the breathing. What is the breath doing? What is it telling you? If the breath is really quick, it's telling you you're working too hard. If the breath feels restricted, it means you're tensing. Maybe you need to offer more support while you're here, or maybe you just need to work on lengthening the breaths. So as always, you're inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. Long, deep inhalations, long, deep exhalations. If you can manage, make the exhalation a little bit deeper than the inhale. Let's go ahead, drop that back knee down and flex the foot. Come onto your palms and you're going to lift your chest. Now, if this is really uncomfortable on the lower back, you can just stay here, rolling the shoulders back and down. Heart is lifted. You're already getting a nice release into the lower back and into that left leg. If you'd like to get a little bit deeper, move your right hand to the center of the mat or the center of the bolster. Look past your left shoulder and catch a hold of the closest pole that you possibly can. Now you're going to draw this elbow out to the side and forward. You're going to hold that here. You can stay here, of course, just using the one arm, or if it's possible, reach the right hand back as well. So you're grabbing two poles, drawing your elbows towards one another, towards the back of the room, and you're just doing a slight little pull. So you're encouraging that heel close towards the hip. You can always slide your arms up a little bit higher if you need a little bit less of a stretch. That's totally fine. You can slide down a little bit deeper. Soften the shoulders down and get that stretch into the left knee, quadricep muscles on the left side, and of course into the lower back. If for any reason this is too much, just keep your palms down the mat or palms on that bolster. We're going to release one hand at a time. I'm going to take my right hand down, left hand down. I'm going to extend that leg and I'm just going to sit onto the right hip and just working myself back around to the front, sliding the bolster out of the way, turning to face the front, and I'm going to place that right leg into the fabric as well. So Paschimottanasana you can use with the feet flexed or the feet pointed. You do want to make sure your sit bones are down. Same rule as before. You want more, deeper stretch, move forward. If you need a little bit less, move back. Micro bend into the knees. First few breaths do so with a straight spine, and then second few breaths will round the spine. So you can grab a hold of the fabric and use this to come into a forward fold. Once again, you can point, you can flex, whatever feels good. So I'm rolling the shoulders back and down, extending the heart forward, sucking the lower belly in, not working too hard in the upper body, really working on extending the spine as straight as possible. Let's go ahead, point the toes. If you haven't already, try to point a position around the spine. Maybe you can slide the hands down a little bit, tuck the chin. You can either keep holding on the fabric, you can take your palms down, palms facing up, whatever feels good. You want to feel a nice release in the back lines of the legs and into the spine. You do want to tuck your chin so you get a nice length all the way down to the tip of the tailbone. As you're ready, navel to spine, chin into the chest, very slowly roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Head is the very last thing to rise up. All right, let's go ahead and scooch forward a little bit, just so that as we lay back, you'll still be on the mat. So once again, palms behind you. You're going to come onto your forearms, elbows directly underneath the shoulders. Wrap those shoulders back and down. Drop your head back. Open the chest. Extend your chest straight up towards the ceiling. Fully release the head and the neck. You can close your eyes. And just taking that little counter stretch in the body. And then tucking your chin, lowering down one shoulder, other shoulder, coming back to that starting position with the arms out to the sides, the palms facing up. If your eyes happen to open, you can bring your eyes back to a closed position. Take a few moments here just to rest and notice the difference that you might be feeling in each side before we go into the second side.